Difficult Mothers, Adult Daughters. A Guide for Separation, Liberation, and Inspiration by Karen C. L. Anderson and Catherine Woodward Thomas. Narrated by Sarah Mollo-Christensen. The Matriarch Mare. The matriarch mare is calm because her boundaries are impeccable. Because she knows who she is, with clarity and equanimity, the other horses respect her. She does not let herself be influenced by another horse's fears or anxieties or aggression. She knows the right thing to do, based on her own internal signals, and she does it. She doesn't need approval or permission. She lives and breathes from a place of integrity and certainty because of her strong and appropriate boundaries. As a result, she is relaxed and at peace. She belongs to herself. She has an undefended heart. With thanks to Martha Beck and Elizabeth Gilbert. Forward. One of my earliest memories is of fiercely scribbling letters to my mother, which I'd quickly hide behind a small wooden bookcase in my bedroom. There were dozens of them stuffed into the small, narrow crack between the wood and the wall. Rather than confessions of devotion and love, my writings were a rant of rage. Tear-stained confessions of wishing I'd never been born. To my strict mother, I'd say nothing directly. Yet behind her back, I'd let it tumble out messy, mad, and manic on the page. One day, as she was cleaning my room, she stumbled upon the hidden missives. Unfolding and reading them one by one, I sat frozen in fear on my bed, barely breathing. When she finally looked up, her fiery, accusing eyes shot right through me. She beat me with a wooden brush and sent me to bed without supper. I was 8 at the time. If you've picked up this book, it's most likely because you too have stories to tell. Perhaps you also had a mother who either neglected or engulfed you, or some crazy-making and confusing combination of the two. Maybe she covertly competed with you in ways that set you up to fail. Perhaps you felt undermined, undervalued, or undernourished by the one person in this world who was supposed to be your safe place. Perhaps you've been continually confused by all of the crazy-making double binds you've found yourself in time and time again. Perhaps you were made to feel unworthy, as though nothing you did was ever good enough, though you tried, year after year, to please someone who was, on some level, devoted to never being pleased. In response, you may have felt handicapped as an adult woman by a nagging and pervasive sense of inadequacy, or by a cavernous lack of confidence. If so, these feelings have likely been at the source of painful, lifelong patterns, such as giving your power away, self-abandoning, creating codependent relationships, isolating yourself, sabotaging your success, and failing to realize authentic happiness in life and in love. If so, then you've come to the right place. This heartfelt guide, written by the brilliant Karen C. L. Anderson, will help lead you step by step through the labyrinth to the promised land of liberation. She herself has walked this gnarly path and found her way to true freedom. And now, in these pages, she lovingly shines a flashlight to help you follow in her footsteps so that you, too, might find the same. Though nothing that happened to you back then was your fault, it is now your responsibility to evolve. I wish we could just pay someone to do this for us. Yet no one but you can set yourself free from the many ways you've unconsciously been perpetuating the traumas of your past in the present. The key is to take a radical stand, give up being a victim of your childhood, and become willing to see how you've been the one keeping these hurts alive, so that you can finally begin making different choices. This is actually good news, because it means you now have the power to graduate forever from living the story of not being good enough, being unworthy, or whatever term you identify with as the reason that your mother couldn't love you in the ways you needed to be loved. It means you can literally outgrow being the you've been in relation to your sick mother. It means that you get to awaken to your authentic self and be liberated to live a happy, healthy life and to have happy, healthy relationships. You can have relationships that are no longer defined by the self you've needed to be in order to stay bonded to your mother, but which are grounded in wholesome qualities such as mutual respect, honor, trust, and true care. We know, intellectually at least, that we're not limited by what's happened to us in the past. Yet sometimes it's hard to believe, given how often we find ourselves repeating it. We once again get involved with people who make us feel inadequate, devalued, lost, and alone. As if we are those young girls thrown back to our childhood homes. The frustration and despair you may have felt as being unable to change has been deep. You may even be wishing, hoping, and praying that your mother will finally change and see the brilliant woman that you are. That she will validate your goodness, intelligence, bravery, and value. Believing that somehow she's the one who is holding the key to your liberation. Despite this, there's more good news. Your mother doesn't have to change one bit for you to be free. Because the majority of your struggles today have little or nothing to do with her. If you're still struggling to become the worthy woman that you are in life and in love, it's most likely because you've been stuck with the self you created in consciousness in response to your mother's behavior. You've somehow been stuck in the persona she projected onto you and limited by the story that you yourself internalized and have been sourcing your life from for decades by now. After all, the truth is, you are not your mother's daughter. You are you, an autonomous adult who is a creature of goodness, light, and love and made up of the magic of life. A woman who has the ability to take what happened to her in the past and transform it into greater wisdom, depth, and authentic love. You can now redefine who you are and what's possible for you to create in this life, outside of your relationship with your mother. You also get to see this poor woman for who she really is. Just another vulnerable, somewhat confused person on this planet who was just trying to find her way as best she could. Make this book your best friend. Sleep with it by your bedside. Read it each time you're about to call your mother, to remind you of the power you hold to make that conversation go well. Ultimately, I encourage you to use these chapters to help awaken yourself to who you really are and the possibilities you're holding for great healing, health, and happiness. Not in spite of all you've been through, but in many ways, because of it. Catherine Woodward Thomas, New York Times best-selling author of Calling in the One, 7 Weeks to Attract the Love of Your Life, and Conscious Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Living Happily Even After. Chapter 1. Lineage. Lineage is important. I didn't just wake up one day and know what I am about to share with you. I've been doing my own work for years, and I will continue. I've read many books and articles. I've taken many classes and workshops. I've studied and received certifications. And most importantly, I practice. My most treasured mentors and teachers are Brooke Castillo, Master Coach Instructor and founder of the Life Coach School, and Randy Buckley, Life Coach and creator of the Healthy Boundaries for Kind People methodology. Others whose work and art deeply influence me, whose work I read, listen to, practice, reference, and am inspired by include Maya Angelou, Brené Brown, Martha Beck, Byron Katie, Ian Levan Zant, Dr. Christiane Northrup, Dr. Shefali Sabari, Pema Chodron, Debbie Ford, Bethany Webster, Lynn Forrest, and Catherine Woodward Thomas.